Do you have a Juki 9000C and you're wondering how you should be maintaining it? Well, in today's video, we're going to show you just that. Hey guys, it's David from Gigi's Fabric Shop, home of Juki and Junkies.com. And in today's video, I'm going to be doing an in-depth tutorial on how to properly maintain your Juki 9000C. This will apply to the FMS, FSH, SMS, and SSH. So all of those different variants will be the same concept for in-depth cleaning. However, in today's video, we do have an FMS as our model. So now let's go ahead and show you what you should do. So in this video, we'll be using a variety of different tools. However, they're pretty generic and pretty simple, and you probably already have them. If you don't have them, we'll have them linked in the description of this video. Up first, we have our Defrix #1 oil that comes with our machine. You're gonna use this to make sure you have your oil reservoir topped off. There is a red line that indicates the level of the oil, and you'll see the bottom red dots indicates the low level and the top red dots indicates the high level. Also, when you tilt back the machine on the oil reservoir itself, you'll see that there is a max and a low on that reservoir, so you can see the level when you have it tilted back as well. So of course, since this is a maintenance video, that's the #1 thing you're gonna wanna be doing on a regular basis, is just making sure that oil level is at the high mark. It takes forever for it to use all that oil, so just keep that in mind. Probably won't have to do that all that often. If you're in an industrial setting, you're gonna probably wanna follow the steps in this video more frequently. And if you're a home sewer and you're using this at home for just home sewing purposes, maybe you have a small business, maybe check these steps every 6 months and do them as needed. It really just depends on the usage of your machine. As far as the oil goes, we recommend Juki Defrix oil, ranging from #1 to #7. However, typically these machines come with #1, so if you can find that, it is the best one you can get. It's just the different viscosity between the different numbers. However, we have found that just about all the numbers work just fine. We just recommend that you get clear Juki Defrix oil. We have this on JukiJunkies.com. Just like any machine, the first thing I do is turn off my machine and go ahead and take my needle out to ensure that I'm not going to accidentally hit that pedal and stitch my finger with that needle. So now that we've got that done, I'll go ahead and take off my presser foot. So I'm just using a T-screw, and if it's too tight to loosen with your T-screw, you can grab a larger flathead and loosen that up. And whenever you go put it back on, just put it on a little bit looser. You shouldn't have to use these big flatheads to loosen your stitch plates and your presser feet. Now I'm gonna go ahead and remove my stitch plate, and just like all sewing machines, whenever I remove a stitch plate, I'm inspecting for burrs and nicks on that stitch plate. It is important to note that if you have any burrs, nicks, or scratches on the stitch plate hole, that it could be a cause to skip stitching and a variety of other issues. So it's a good idea to go ahead and switch out that stitch plate, or try to file down those burrs and nicks with a little bit of fine sandpaper to get those out. So as you can see here, our stitch plate looks really nice and clean. We don't see any burrs, any nicks. So we're good to go. We don't need to swap that out. But up next, you're gonna notice you're gonna have access to these feed dogs along with your hook assembly and your basket. And now's a great time to either grab some compressed air and blow out this area, which I don't have with me today, but you can do that. You can blow out this area with some compressed air, or you can use your cleaning swab, which does a great job at grabbing that lint and debris and pulling it out of the machine to clean up that area. So I'm just kind of getting the feed dogs nice and clean, and what I can see from the top here. You can also use this micro cleaning swab that we have as well. This works great at getting in tough to reach spots. So I'll use that to clean out this area. And I'll even use my tweezers to brush out the feed dog. Sometimes lint and debris can get in between the feed dog teeth. So I'll just use these tweezers to kind of brush through those, make sure there's no cavities, get all the lint and debris out. And I prefer compressed air if I'm doing a cleaning, so you can use, some compressed air from those little canisters or an actual compressor. Typically, people say don't use compressed air with home sewing machines. It's because they have a whole bunch of covers on them where all that lint and debris doesn't have a place to escape. But on this industrial, it has places to escape. Now, before I tilt the machine back, one other thing I like to do is go ahead and run a clean cleaning swab through the disc of my upper tension. And when the foot's up, these discs should be loose and easy for this cleaning swab to get in between them. You can also use a little fabric cloth to kind of floss through these discs and make sure there's no lint and debris in there. It's a good time to inspect your take-up spring and make sure your take-up spring is moving around. There's nothing that's preventing it from bouncing up and down, and there's none of this is broken. Then you can also follow the same steps you just did on the bottom one with your sub-tension knob, cleaning out any lint, debris, Also inspect them for any threads that may have got caught up in there. Inspect your kind of thread path, make sure there's no threads wrapped around things. You can also blow this off with an air compressor as well. It's a great way to clean those. So now that we've got the upper section of our machine clean, we'll go ahead and tilt it back. So like I was saying earlier, whenever you tilt it back, you'll also get another look at this oil reservoir where you can see the line for the max and the minimum, and you can see our oil is just above the max, so it's at a good height there. When I typically maintain this machine, I'm inspecting these tubes for any leaks. There should be no leaks. There should be no oil down here really. Maybe in this front area of your catch pan, you'll see some oil drips and maybe some lint and debris, so that's a good area to clean out with a paper towel and some all-purpose cleaner. Just wipe that area out. But overall, it should look pretty good down here, just depending on how much use you have put this machine through. Now that the machine is tilted back and we're ready to start cleaning out that hook assembly area, we'll go ahead and take that bobbin case out. I like to go ahead and take the bobbin out, and since I'm doing a cleaning on the whole machine, I'll use my cleaning swab to just clean off this bobbin, get all that lint and debris off of it, make sure there's no threads caught up in there. Everything looks good. My backlash spring looks good. There's no threads in there. We're good to go. So now I'll put that there. It's also a great time to inspect your bobbins for any burrs or nicks, because sometimes those bobbins will get that and it'll get tight in that bobbin case and cause issues. One thing that I'll do to double check everything is operating good is I'll put the bobbin in my bobbin case and I'll just pull that thread, and you should see that bobbin moving with no resistance whatsoever. And that's how you know there's nothing bent on your bobbin case or your bobbin. I can go ahead and use my cleaning swab to wipe around the outer edge of my hook assembly, wiping off any excess oil, lint, or debris. This is also a great time to grab my air compressor and just blow in this area. And as I rotate this, I can blow on this hook assembly, blowing out any lint and debris. Now, as I'm cleaning around this area, getting any dust and debris off the machine, you're going to notice there's quite a bit of grease on little joints throughout this machine. It doesn't require oil. It doesn't require you wiping it off. That grease is there specifically to help aid those metal parts from binding up and becoming a frozen joint. So it is important that you don't wipe off the grease. All the grease you see around all these different joints are important to keep the grease on there. And if you notice that the grease is looking really dry or there's not much on there, you can re-add grease on there. Typically what we recommend is some synthetic clear grease, like this Tri-Flow grease works great, or you can use some lithium spray grease, and you can actually spray these joints where their grease is applied. You just want to make sure that you hit all the spots that you notice there's some grease on. So you can kind of just work your way around these different joints and add some extra grease on there. This bottle has a hole in the top, so I actually just use it to kind of scoop some grease on to the end of this cleaning swab. I'll kind of just brush it on to those different areas throughout the machine that I can see some grease was on at some point. And you don't need a lot, just a little bit on those edges is all you really need. You're just really adding it to those areas where there appeared to be some grease and maybe it's come off over time. Doesn't take a lot, a little bit goes a long way. So just go ahead and work your way around the machine and you'll find different joints that have grease already applied to them. A tech that I know also recommends like a spray lithium grease to hit these areas. It's a little bit easier for him, especially when he's servicing large factories with tons of these industrials. So I'm just gonna work my way around the bottom of the machine, hitting any of those points where I see grease on them to make sure they're continuously coated with some new grease. You'll notice there's a lot of little stepper motors all around. Usually there's some grease on the joints. So now that I've applied some synthetic clear grease, or I've opted out to use some lithium spray grease, the one thing I want to highlight is if you're spraying a lithium grease, you just want to make sure you're only hitting those joints and you're not hitting any electronic components, just the little metal joints that you see that there's been grease previously applied to. It is also very important to inspect this hook assembly. Make sure there's no burrs or nicks on the external sides of this hook assembly. It should look nice and shiny. You shouldn't see any major scratches. If you have any burrs or nicks from needle strikes or needle punctures on this, it's not a bad idea to get some very fine sandpaper like 2000 or 3000 and sand out those burrs and nicks, because that can also be an issue of skip stitching or little burrs or shredding of threading, so it's important to inspect this hook assembly really well. And before I tilt this machine back down, I always like to add oil here manually. Even though this machine oils itself, I'll locate the point of the hook and you'll see this gap right here. So you can see this gap. So this is the basket, this is your hook, and you can see the hook rotates around the basket and the basket stays still. I love to drop some oil manually right there and there. That's a great way to oil that hook assembly, and you'll just notice when you rotate that hand wheel, it becomes very, very smooth. Now the machine does oil that area automatically on its own, but if you're not running this machine super fast, then it probably won't be oiling it as much as it needs to. So you can do that manually on your own if you're sewing really slow, or you can run your machine at a high rate of speed whenever you're done doing servicings to make sure the oil is pumped throughout the machine. This does apply to pretty much all sewing machines, adding oil right there. If you wanted to also add oil on another step, you can add it right here. So you can see this is your point of your hook. You can add it right here on that little ledge where you can see the hook is moving and the basket is staying stationary right there on the edge. Any excess oil you can kind of wipe up. You don't need a ton of oil dripping all over the place, but that's another spot you can add it. That's typically where most people will add it at home. And the step that I showed you right there on that inside is just a really good area to hit. So now that I've oiled all that, I'm gonna go ahead and just make sure I got all last little bit of drips off and any extra lint or debris. And now I can go ahead and tilt this machine forward. Everything's good to go. We've inspected for burrs, nicks. Everything looks great. Again, if you have an air compressor, blow out that area and that hook area, but that looks good. So now that I've got that bottom section all done, I can go ahead and put my stitch plate back on the same way that it comes off. Put my faceplate screws in there, and you don't have to go super tight. And that's pretty much all you would do on a quick little maintenance. You could probably skip the grease portion if you're not using this machine a lot. That's a more in-depth version. So if you wanted to just do the simple steps that we showed you, you could do everything we've showed you so far in this video, and you could subtract the greasing portion if you don't have that. But if you're wanting to do a really good in-depth service, I'm going to show you the next additional steps, which is going to be removing this little side cover here. So you can use just a Phillips head screwdriver to remove these. And if you're using a drill like I am, make sure it's on a really loose setting so when you tighten these back up, you don't strip out the spots, because you do not want to ruin the casting of the machine. So you'll see this just comes right off. This is the needle bar cover, and you'll now have access to your upper needle bar. If your machine's super dirty, you might have lint and debris up here, but these machines, industrials, are very clean and very sealed off, so lint and debris doesn't usually get up here, so you shouldn't have to blow this out, but if you needed to, you could blow this out a little bit, or use a small little vacuum to suck it out if you're afraid to push anything back, or use your cleaning swabs. You'll notice that there's some grease on a couple of different joints throughout this area, so you can add some grease to those spots. They even put some grease right here on the needle bar area right there. Everything looks like it's pretty greased up on this machine. It doesn't look like it needs much, but I'll go ahead and add a couple little dabs of grease to some smaller areas just to show you where it should go. A little piece there, and it looks like there's some on the joints back here. Again, it might be hard to show on camera, but like I said, just kind of tilt your head around the machine in this area and look around for areas that appear to have grease on them and moving parts, and just add it where you see that there's been grease before. That looks much better. Everything feels super smooth. I can feel the difference already. And now that that's all done, I'll go ahead and just put this cover back on. This little notch right here lines up with this little rubber cover, and this gasket should stay relatively on the machine. So all these Phillips head screws are the same, so don't worry about putting them in the same spot they came out. And you don't need to go super tight, just hand tight is all you need. Now, one other additional step is going to be turning this machine around. So I'm just going to go ahead and unlock my casters and turn this machine around and show you one other axis spot to add some grease to. So now this back cover, we're going to do the same exact thing we just did to this front needle bar cover. There's a few different screws in here. I've already removed some to make it a little quicker for you. And again, all these screws are the same on this back cover, so they don't have to go back in the same order. And now that you've got this back cover removed, you'll be able to either use your lithium grease spray to hit some of these grease little joints, or you can manually wipe some synthetic grease on these areas, just like so. And again, you're just going to kind of move the hand wheel around, kind of look around to see for any moving parts, if there's any grease spots that need added grease. But really just that little joint there. Be very careful to not touch the circuit board or add any lithium grease or wipe any grease there. On this back section, it really is just this joint right here that needs a little bit of lithium grease. And there is some teeth for this gear system that you can kind of wipe some grease on. You can kind of see there is some grease on there previously as well. So once you add some grease to that gear with those teeth, you can also use this presser foot lever right here to just kind of move your presser foot up and down to make sure that grease kind of gets worked into all those little gears over there, since they're kind of hard to access. So you'll notice when I pull this up and down, that lever moves, and you can see those joints where the grease is on allows it to move nice and freely. So now that we've got that all done, we'll go ahead and put this cover back on the machine. And just like that, we have now properly cleaned, oiled, greased, did the full maintenance on our 9000C. We put our presser foot back on, put our needle in. Don't forget to make sure that scarf of the needle is facing towards the right of the machine, and make sure you have a DBX1 needle system. If you have that FMS model, it takes a needle range of 9 to 18. If you have the FSH models or the heavy model versions, it's usually an 18 to a size 23 needle. I hope you enjoyed this video. Comment down below something you learned or any questions you might have. Give us a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe because we post every single Sunday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And remember, if you ever need Juki parts, accessories, sewing machines, check out JukiJunkies.com, where you can shop our website where we ship super fast, have amazing customer service and support. And if you're ever passing by the Brandon, Florida area, stop on into Gigi's Fabric Shop, where we will be happy to show you these machines in person, walk you through them. All you have to do is just give us a call, make that appointment first before you stop on in, and make sure I'm here, and I'll be happy to show you all these machines. Thank you so much. We'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.